week's episode, Will Phillips. Will would start his junior football career with the Beverley Hills Junior Football Club. He would showcase his talent early, making the under-12s Victorian squad. The following 3 years, Will would captain and represent the YJFL in the Interleague Victorian Metro Championships. During this time, he would be selected to represent Victoria in the Victorian Schoolboys Championship team as a 14 and 15-year-old. He would then begin his journey in the Oakleigh Chargers Pathway program. At Caulfield Grammar School, he would become the first player since Chris Judd to debut as a Year 9 student. In that debut game, he collected 30 possessions and 2 goals. As a 16-year-old, he would captain the Oakleigh Chargers before being selected in the under-16 Vic Metro team. To round off 2018, he would debut for the under-18s Oakleigh Chargers team in their final series. Will would be rewarded for his hard work, being selected to represent Vic Metro as well as the Australian team as a 17-year-old. Team success is what he ultimately craves, and in 2019 he played a role in both the Oakleigh Chargers NAB League Grand Final and the APS Premiership for Caulfield Grammar School. Following 2 Premiership campaigns, Will would be selected to participate in the Under-17 Futures game before the AFL Grand Final. Welcome Will Phillips to Talent Talk. Right, hello and welcome to Talent Talk Tuesday. On today's episode, we have an individual who has a football attached to him since he was very young, and that is Will Phillips. Welcome, Will.
Thanks, Spoon. It's good to be here.
I'll start off with the first question. For our viewers who may not know who you are, can you give us a little background on your football journey to this point?
Yeah, sure. So started from a very young age. I think I was in Auskick when I was about 3 or 4. So I've loved footy ever since then. Went through Beverley Hills Junior Footy Club from Tackers right through to the under-15s. I represented the YJFL teams and along the way, and then also the Victorian under-15 teams and under-12s as well. Lucky enough to be selected to play at Oakleigh from under-15s onwards, and obviously I've gone to Caulfield Grammar School since I was in Year 7, so I've played a bit of school footy there, and really fortunate to be a part of such a high level of footy across a range of groups. So that's taken me to here, and I'm really in a really fortunate position. So very grateful.
And leading into 2020, after a successful 2019 with both school and NAB League, where you've won 2 premierships, what expectations did you have leading into 2020 in regards to your football, but while also juggling commitments such as your school captaincy, Year 12 studies and other extracurricular activities?
Yeah, good question. I guess what did I expect from it? I knew I was going to be really busy, so I made it a goal of mine to remain really organised and have a good balance. So I implemented a lot of tools into my life, such as like using a Google Calendar and doing some journaling early on so that I could just keep on top of everything. I didn't expect this to happen, all of the COVID stuff. So sort of caught me by surprise, and I like everyone else was forced to adapt. So I knew it was going to be a really big year regardless of what happened, and that's exactly what it's been. But I'm really fortunate that I've got a good supportive network of friends and family around me to support me through that. So I think reaching out to them has been really, really important for me as well. Yeah.
Yep. And added to that answer, earlier recently on footy analysis programs, there's been comparisons with past high-end draft picks. Is that a humbling experience that you thrive upon, or is it the added pressure is something you block out in order to focus on what you can control?
I think I like the pressure. Whatever it is, I like being under the pump, it probably forces me to rise up and be at my best. In terms of those comparisons, I probably don't look at that too much. I try not to compare myself to other people, because all that does is get your hopes up or takes your mind off what's really important. So for me, it's just sort of, I might listen to it and acknowledge it, but at the end of the day, if I don't stick to the process and continue to train hard and listen to my coaches and continue to grow and adapt, then that stuff means crap stuff also. It's nice recognition, and people would look at that and think, oh, good on him, like that's great. But for me, it's just one opinion, no guarantees at all. So a lot more work to go. Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned before about your support network, and obviously you've been coached by many individuals over the past. Is there any one individual or two individuals that really stand out in your football journey so far?
Yeah, there's probably two. So the first one, surprisingly, was my basketball coach back in I was 15, but it was under 16s. He was my basketball coach, and he just the style in which he coached our team just really helped to get the best out of myself and the people around me. And a lot of the things that he did, I really admired. And he was probably the hardest and the strictest coach that I've ever had. But I really loved the level of intensity that he made us train at and play at. And he was just someone who really helped me to grow, not just as a basketballer, but just as a person in general, in terms of training standards and how I should approach games and things like that. And then the other one would probably be Anthony Phillips, as you know. So he's a bit of a guru in the industry. Really lucky to know him from an early age. We're pretty much family friends. I get the question a lot, are you related to him? And obviously I'm not, but same last name.
I pop the same questions usually.
Yeah.
Is Will related to Anthony?
Yeah, I've got that about Anthony and Tom and Ed and Lucy and everyone. And probably doesn't help that I told everyone at Caulfield I was related to them in year 7 and 8 as a joke, and then don't really follow that anymore. But Ant's a bit of a guru. He's really invested in developing young people, and I'm really lucky to be a part of that passion. And he's really good at focusing on the little things, like the little craft elements of the game, and something that I pride myself on, doing those little touch sessions and everything, and he's helped me to realise that.
Wow. So just on your coaching and your playing there, a lot of people that we see come through the system lack the motivation to continue pushing to the higher level. What is your motivation to play football? Do you have anything in particular that you can also pass on to younger kids who are trying to come through?
Well, my motivation to play football, I guess I just love the game. As I mentioned before, I've been playing it since I was really young, and I've always had that competitive spirit in me, in which I don't like to lose. I push myself to the absolute limit. I try to when I train, so much so that I've been told to hold back a little bit. Just my motivation to be a part of the industry, and such a fulfilling industry that gets so much out of the people in it. Some people just see the footy industry as just footballers, big, strong, go do gym and do your running and things like that, and it's all just footy. But to me, it's more than that. It's about the relationships and the little things that you can take out of it in terms of your personal growth. So I guess that's my motivation, because I want to get the best out of myself. What was the second part of that question, Greg?
The second part of the question was, for any kids coming through these days, is there anything that you can give them to help drive them and motivate them to try and reach as best as they can?
Yeah, I guess it's hard to answer that because everyone's different, and I do have an answer, but people will have different levels of motivation, different things going on in their life. So it'll differ for each person, but my advice would be to just be really curious and ask as many questions as you can and seek knowledge. And, that shows not only that you're interested in the program, but that you're interested in growing and learning, and it'll help you to adapt and improve your game. So, I've tried to ask as many questions as I can throughout my junior career. And it's helped me to get to this point. And no matter what achievements you gain or whatever point you get to, there's always something that can be learnt. Like Ant Phillips, who's the guru, he's probably learning stuff, and AFL coaches, they're constantly learning things. So having that constant desire to grow and improve, I think, will help you to get the best out of yourself.
Right. Now, Brendan mentioned earlier that you played both in the NAB League and the APS competition. Which one did you find to be the most challenging for you? And from that, also, which one do you think you grew more out of?
It's different. It's the level of difficulty was probably similar in the two, and I don't really see it like that because my role differed in each. So my role in the APS was an inside mid, and I probably had a bigger role to play in that team. Whereas in the NAB League team, my role was more not team oriented, but I was surrounded by probably some better talent than I was in the APS. So my role became more focused on the little things. They're different degree of difficulty. But yeah, like I couldn't differentiate the two.
All right, good.
And then what was? Sorry, I missed the second part of the question.
No, that's all right. It was which one did you find that you grew more in? Did you learn something more from one another, or were they both very similar?
Yeah, very similar. But I think in terms of my personal growth, it'd probably be APS footy.
Okay.
Just in terms of, I think naturally boys have a great connection with their teammates at APS footy, and they naturally have that. The leadership aspect of it for me was really important. Not that I wasn't trying to be a leader for Oakleigh, but particularly for APS, that was one of my focuses. So that really helped me to improve my leadership skills. And then in terms of football ability, NAB League probably suits the AFL style more. So maybe that might have helped me with my game a bit more.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's good. It's just great insight for some of our viewers who are, we've got kids that are both coming through NAB League only or APS and both, and they always ask us, where should we play? Where's the best place? And we always say, play as high level as you can. So it's good to get some insight from yourself about that.
Yeah, 100%.
So onto my next question is, we know you follow Collingwood, but are there any footballers that inspire you? And what type of footballer would you like to be?
I guess growing up, I always looked up to Scott Pendlebury. Like a lot of people. I guess he just, probably didn't know so much about his professionalism from an early age, but he was always the best player at Collingwood, and that's probably why I liked him the most. And obviously his composure in contested situations, he just slows everything down around him, and so that's pretty admirable for younger kids looking up to him. But yeah, as I went up, and I've actually had a conversation with him, and he talks so much about his professionalism, and that's something that's really admirable about him. So he's probably one. In terms of who I'd like to model myself on, currently probably Lachie Neale. He's kind of dominating, and he's similar size, I'm similar size to him, 180, sort of small mid. So I'd like to probably play like him. But I think Jack Steele as well. He's had a really good year. And his ability to play on an opponent, but also have really good impact himself. So shut them down, but also impact the game himself is something that I think I model myself on a little bit. I did that a bit last year. So, but yeah, I think I take elements of. I don't think I play like one person. I think I play a role really well, and my role differs each week depending on the opposition. So, yeah, I'd be happy to just be in the system at the moment.
Beautiful. Oh, that's awesome. And my last question for now is, you've been interviewed by almost every club at this stage. What's the weirdest question that you've had so far? Has there been any that have stumped you?
Yeah, I heard you ask Bailey this one, and no, not really. Surprisingly, I think the weird ones, the curly ones, come at the combine interviews, which are starting to happen now. So up until this point, I haven't really had many curly ones, luckily. Well, I just said that what do you do Christmas Day was a question he got asked, and I compared to him, I did say that I trained, but I only just remembered towards the end. So I'm lucky that I remembered that I did that. But like other than that, they're all pretty similar, and they're all really good people, and really blessed to have so many interviews to this point. But no guarantees. See what happens.
And you mentioned that the draft combine is obviously moving forward. Your strengths have been well documented. However, what are the key areas of improvements you feel you would like to improve on leading into the combine?
I mean, I wouldn't say my endurance is a weakness, but I've never really had a that's probably my biggest area of improvement in terms of combine testing. So I mean, I'm working hard at the moment and trying to get a bit of a fitness base up. In saying that, I'm not super stressed about the combine testing. Whilst it's important because it's really the only thing that I'll do this year. It's not the be all end all. Clubs often say that they look at GPS running and they look at your running patterns in a game more so than that. So the boys putting pressure on themselves is a bit of a waste. But certainly it's nice to have something to aim for. But that endurance is probably the focus for me.
Well, and the last question of the interview, we've asked the majority of our interviewees this. Now, you've played with a lot of talented players throughout your junior career. Could you tell us the most talented player that you've played with or against, and what have you learnt from them?
Yeah, Matt Rao, hands down, is probably the most talented, and has got the highest work ethic. So that's probably what I learnt from him is that talent doesn't just cut it. Like, I'm sure he'd still be a good player if he didn't have the work ethic, because he's, he hits targets, he can get the ball, he's pretty balanced. But his ability to just get to contests and get around the ground is special, and those second and third efforts and fourth efforts even. So he's really good at them, and something that someone that I've looked up to all through my junior footy career. He was always a year above me, and watching him now has been really cool. So.
And who won that one-on-one battle between you and Matt Rowell in the Carey Caulfield game last year?
Oh well, I would argue he did, because he converted at goal. He kicked two, and I kicked. He had 2 shots at goal. He kicked 2. I had 2 shots at goal, and I kicked 0. But in terms of the contest, I thought I was pretty proud of myself to be able to go with him. Who do you think, Spoon?
Always you, mate.
Right, yeah. We'll have to watch that over again and see.
Yeah. Well, Will, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate taking some time out of your school break. Brendan and I, we both wish you good luck for the draft and the draft combine coming up. And hopefully later on in the year, you can join us again.
Yeah, sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me. Have a good one.